Good morning and welcome to A News. I'm Bakhtiar Sanov, and here are the top stories. American Airlines plane Black Hawk helicopter collided midair near Washington, D.C. area airport. Situation remains tense in the Democratic Republic of Congo. President Felix Tshisekedi vows to reclaim the city of Goma. Turkey, Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan signed the Ankara Declaration, reaffirming their commitment to regional cooperation. A mid-air collision near Washington's Reagan National Airport has left multiple casualties. Officials say a passenger jet and the U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter crashed while approaching the airport. The FAA confirmed that PSA Airlines Flight 5342, operating for American Airlines, collided with a Black Hawk helicopter. The flight, coming from Wichita, Kansas, was carrying up to 65 passengers, while 3 soldiers were aboard the helicopter. Emergency crews are searching the Potomac River, and all airport flights have been halted. Investigations into the cause are underway. Search and rescue operation is becoming more grim, with no survivors recovered so far, source says. U.S. President Donald Trump plans to expand a migrant detention center at Guantanamo Bay, ordering space for up to 30,000 people. The U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, already has a migrant facility separate from the high-security prison for terrorism suspects. The facility has housed migrants for decades, but Trump's move would expand its use. The prison, which once held hundreds of detainees, now houses just 15 detainees. Former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez, a strong supporter of Armenian diaspora organization ANCA and known for his anti-Turkey stance, was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison after being convicted of bribery and corruption.
Former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez was found guilty of accepting bribes, including gold bars and large sums of cash, in exchange for political favors benefiting businessmen connected to Egypt and Qatar. Menendez had served as chairman of the influential Senate Foreign Relations Committee before his conviction. Meanwhile, in a 12-minute speech before his sentencing, Menendez acknowledged past mistakes but defended his public service, according to several U.S. media outlets who were present in the room. The charges stemmed from an FBI raid on Menendez's home, where authorities discovered nearly $500,000 in cash, gold bars worth around $150,000, and a luxury vehicle. Menendez's wife, Nadine, who is facing her own trial, was linked to the case, though defense lawyers sought to shift the blame. Menendez's conviction also involved 2 businessmen, Wael Hana, an Egyptian-American, and Fred Dybes, a real estate developer, both of whom were sentenced to prison on Wednesday. A third accomplice, Jose Uribe, had pleaded guilty earlier and assisted investigators.
Protesters in Mexico City rallied against a gas project they say threatens whales in the Gulf of California. They fear large vessels could cause deadly collisions with the whales.
The protest in Mexico was organized by environmental groups who are raising concerns over a gas export project in the Gulf of California. The project, led by Saguaro Energia, plans to use deep-sea vessels to transport liquefied natural gas from Sonora to Asia. Activists warn that these massive vessels could collide with whales, which use the Gulf for breeding and resting. Pablo Montano, a coordinator at Conexiones Climáticas, spoke out about the risk.
Whales would now be in contact with deep-sea vessels, something that doesn't currently exist in the Gulf of California. The main cause of death for whales is collisions with large vessels.
The Gulf is home to a rich ecosystem, including 39% of the world's sea mammals, with humpback, grey and blue whales at risk. Protesters argue the project would contribute to significant emissions, affecting not just marine life, but the planet's climate.
Over 300 businesses and companies across Germany have organized rallies in several cities across the country to call for reforms in economic policy. In Berlin, the demonstrators gathered outside the Brandenburg Gate. called on the next German government to change its policies to help boost the economy. Organizers of the rallies under the banner of Economic Warning Day described the upcoming German federal elections as a decisive election, citing that the situation is serious. Munich, Hamburg and Stuttgart were some of the other major cities who joined the protest as the German economy shrank in the last quarter of 2024 due to the increased competition with China and structural problems. Europe's largest economy will enter a technical recession if it shrinks further in the first quarter of 2025. Tensions remain high as protests continue in Israel, with demonstrators demanding the release of all hostages. Meanwhile, negotiations and prisoner exchanges remain at the center of the ongoing ceasefire efforts.
Israeli protesters gathered near the defense ministry, continuing their demonstrations a day before the scheduled release of 3 hostages as part of the ongoing Gaza ceasefire agreement. Chanting slogans and holding pictures of the hostages, protesters vowed to keep demonstrating until every hostage is freed.
We're waiting so much to Agam to come back home. She's supposed to come tomorrow. She's the last one. That's the last soldier, the girls. That's supposed to come tomorrow, and we're waiting for her so much. For her, to Arbel, and to everyone, and we'll keep coming over until the last one will come. We won't give up.
According to the Palestinian Prisoners Information Office, Israel plans to release 110 Palestinian prisoners and detainees, including 30 minors and 32 individuals serving life sentences for deadly attacks that claimed the lives of dozens of Israelis.
It's too slowly, and the problem is that a lot of Israelis are happy with it, too happy, as are not understanding that they must fight until the last one will be here, and also for the ending of this terrible bloody war, which also killed too much people in Gaza. So I'm standing here also for them, for the citizens in Gaza.
I hope for that Ofer, my cousin, will come back home soon, really soon, and also all the rest of the hostages, because we need them all, the dead ones and the alive hostages, everybody back.
An Israeli official stated that 5 Thai citizens who were abducted from Israel during Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, may also be released on Thursday. Since the ceasefire began on January 19, 7 hostages have already been freed.
As thousands of Palestinians make their way back to what is left of their homes in the north of the Gaza Strip, they are faced with the overwhelming level of destruction.
The return of displaced Palestinians to northern Gaza resumed following a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. But for many, home is now nothing more than rubble. Kamis Amara walks through the ruins of what was once his home, struggling to process the overwhelming loss. The relief of survival quickly fades in the face of destruction. Buried under the debris alongside his father and brother, Amara is the sole survivor. The tragic reality weighs heavily, knowing he alone made it out.
I was under the rubble with my father and brother, just as they still are. But I made it out. What do you want to ask about Gaza's situation? It's tragic.
As families return to their homes, he feels the crushing weight of loss, even as he reunites with surviving loved ones.
At first, you're happy despite the exhaustion. You arrive, see your family and loved ones, greet everyone, and feel some joy. But then, you realize who's left waiting for you, your brother, your sister. And then you look at your home and ask yourself, why did I come back? What was the point? We shouldn't have come here.
Amara's call for help reflects the sentiments of many who have returned to ruins. The world needs to do more to provide aid.
I'm calling on the world to look at us. What is this? We've returned to nothing but destruction. The least you can do is send us aid. Send tents. Send anything. Help us somehow.
Since the outbreak of war on October 7th, 2023, approximately 650,000 people have been displaced from northern Gaza. After a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, more than 300,000 displaced people had returned to Gaza City and the northern region, local authorities say.
Situation remains tense in the Democratic Republic of Congo. President Felix Tshisekedi has vowed to reclaim the city of Goma, which recently fell under the control of M23 rebels. Meanwhile, government-hired mercenaries have surrendered, and Rwanda is calling for a ceasefire in the region.
Democratic Republic of Congo, President Felix Tshisekedi has announced a strong and coordinated response to reclaim the city of Goma, which was seized by M23 rebels earlier this week. In a televised address, Tshisekedi labelled M23 a terrorist group and accused Rwanda of supporting the insurgents. He stated that he had convened emergency meetings with government and military officials to assess the situation and discuss countermeasures. Simultaneously, nearly 300 foreign mercenaries hired by the Congolese government surrendered to the rebel group. Initially recruited to strengthen the country's underfunded and poorly organized army, the mercenaries reportedly worsened the conflict due to a lack of coordination. The trapped mercenaries surrendered to UN peacekeepers and were repatriated through Rwanda. Before crossing the border, one of them was publicly reprimanded by an M23 spokesperson in front of journalists. Providing an update on the situation in Congo, the UN spokesperson stated, clashes continue in surrounding areas, including Sake, located northwest of Goma. While the security situation in the area has somewhat stabilized, sporadic shooting persists and the overall humanitarian crisis remains severe.
In the capital, Kinshasa, the situation is also calm today, despite the calls for protests that we have seen. The main roads are reported to be empty and supermarkets are closed due to the high risk of looting. That's what our colleague in the peacekeeping mission are reporting. You will also remember that a few days ago we paid tribute to 3 UN peacekeepers who were killed in the last few days.
The humanitarian crisis in Congo is worsening, with increasing violence and looting severely hindering aid deliveries. Restrictions on relief operations remain in place. The UN has expressed concern over the limitations obstructing aid distribution.
The violence and looting of humanitarian warehouses has continued today in Goma, impacting both the ability of aid workers to respond, as well as obviously putting them at risk. Since the escalation of fighting, our humanitarian partners have recorded more than 2,000 injuries caused by weapons and explosive shrapnel. Humanitarian workers are treating injuries where possible. Several bodies of people killed remain in the streets, while water and electricity supplies remains cut off since the 26th of January.
Meanwhile, Rwanda, an alleged supporter of M23 movement, has called for a ceasefire in the region and urged the Congolese government to negotiate with the rebels. However, the Rwandan government has denied any involvement in the conflict. According to Rwanda's foreign minister, fighting in Goma has ceased since the city is now under M23 control. Residents of Goma report that looting and sporadic gunfire are still ongoing. The Congolese government considers M23 a terrorist group and refuses to engage in direct negotiations with them. Reports suggest that the rebels are advancing south from Goma, attempting to expand their controlled territory. Videos circulating on social media show armed fighters moving along the M23's reported route, although it remains unclear which side they belong to.
Turkey, Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan signed the Ankara Declaration, reaffirming their commitment to regional cooperation and support for Azerbaijan's post-conflict reconstruction efforts in Karabakh and East Zengezur. The agreement signed by Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, Azerbaijani Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov and Uzbekistan's Bakhtiyor Saidov underscores the three nations' continuing backing of each other's sovereignty, territorial integrity and internationally recognized borders. Speaking at the joint press conference in Ankara following the signing, Hakan Fidan emphasized the significance of the Middle Corridor, an alternative trade route linking Asia and Europe. The most reliable, fastest and economical route between Asia and Europe is the Central Asia-Caspian Sea, South Caucasus-Turkey corridor, Fidan said, highlighting disruptions in global supply chains due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the Russia-Ukraine war, and ongoing instability in the Middle East. The trilateral gathering, bringing together the foreign affairs, transport and trade ministries of the three nations, marked the second such high-level meeting. Officials discussed expanding economic cooperation and infrastructure development, positioning Turkey, Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan as key players in regional trade. Georgian delegation has decided to withdraw from the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe following a vote earlier tonight. The decision comes after the Assembly ratified the credentials of the Georgian delegation, but with a key condition attached: the suspension of many of its members' rights pending a review in April. Vice President Theodoros Rousopoulos expressed regret over Georgia's move, stating that it risks jeopardizing ongoing dialogue that could help advance democratic reforms in the country. The credentials of the Georgian delegation had been challenged at the start of the Assembly's winter parliamentary session in Strasbourg. Celebrations of the Lunar New Year across Asia and Asian communities around the world have begun. 15 days of festivities will be filled with delicious food, cherished traditions, and prayers for good fortune in the year ahead.
Millions of people across East and Southeast Asia are beginning their celebrations of Lunar New Year. The vibrant holiday is a time for families to reunite, enjoy over 2 weeks of festivities, visit temples, and pray for health, happiness, and success. Each country celebrates the holiday in its own unique way, rooted in deep traditions. In China, Lunar New Year, or Spring Festival, is an official holiday, celebrated by over 1.4 billion people. It marks the beginning of the new year in the lunar calendar and is steeped in customs like lighting incense and fireworks to ward off evil spirits. Lunar New Year is not only celebrated in China, but in many other Asian countries and is embraced by their communities worldwide.
First of all, Spring Festival is a very important festival for Chinese people. During this festival, the whole family can reunite and everyone can gather together. For Chinese people, this is a very happy moment, and everyone can gather together with all the relatives and friends. Chinese people attach great importance to this festival.
Similarly, in Taiwan, Lunar New Year is also an official holiday. The island nation celebrates with unique customs, such as decorations of flower and fruits to symbolize prosperity, health, and good fortune. Oranges, in particular, are widely exchanged as a symbol of wealth. A special tradition in Taiwan involves throwing coins into wells or ponds, a gesture believed to bring good luck and blessings for the year ahead. Moving to Bangkok, the capital of Thailand, Lunar New Year is celebrated by the large Thai Chinese community, particularly in Chinatown. While not an official holiday, it's a festive occasion marked by family gatherings, lion dances, and the giving of red envelopes. While many customs are similar to those in China, Thailand's celebration has a distinct blend of local Thai Chinese influences. And in Indonesia, Lunar New Year is widely observed by the Chinese Indonesian community, despite it not being an official holiday. The holiday here also features incense lighting, temple visits, and prayers for prosperity. Like in other countries, red symbols dominate the festivities, while family gatherings, lion dances, and traditional foods showcase the vibrant cultural celebration. As these diverse communities come together, Lunar New Year remains a time of renewal, reflection, and joy, filled with hopes for a bright and prosperous future ahead.
Turkey's Cappadocia, one of the world's most renowned hot air balloon destinations, has broken a record for passenger numbers in 2024. Located in central Turkey and listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Cappadocia's stunning rock formations, fiery chimneys, and historical sites attracted some 770,000 domestic and international visitors who experienced the region from the sky in 2024. Speaking to journalists in Göreme, Nevşehir, Governor Ali Fidan highlighted that Cappadocia is the world's leading destination for hot air balloon flights. According to him, the interest in balloon tours is increasing every year, and in 2024, they have recorded 32,000 flights. Governor Fidan revealed that in 2023, balloon flights took place on 218 days. Carrying approximately 622,000 passengers. However, in 2024, flights were conducted on 236 days, pushing the number of passengers to nearly 770,000. Cappadocia isn't a single town or city, but rather a region within the city of Nevşehir. Its captivating landscapes were shaped over 60 million years by the accumulation of lava and ash from nearby mountains like Erciyes, Guludağ, and Hasandagi. The wind and rain worked their magic, creating the famous valleys and fiery chimneys. That's all for now, but stay tuned to A News for more exclusive updates.